So a robot walks into a bar and says he needs to loosen up. So the bartender serves him a screwdriver. Hey, shh. Welcome back to Not Another Needless Sequel, where we watch movies and propose unnecessary prequels, sequels, reboots, and remakes. My name is Kane. With me, as always, is my co-host and my wife, Kelsey.
I did not murder him!
Okay.
I kind of wanted to be louder, but I also didn't want to scare Cosmo the podcast dog.
Well, this week we investigated a murder with 2004's iRobot. So what do you think the story was?
I really think you summed it up in that sentence there. A detective is investigating a murder of a scientist at a company called US Robotics.
Yes. The detective, Del Spooner, who's played by Will Smith, and I don't know if you know this about Will Smith, but he slapped
Chris Rock.
And
You know, I almost made my opening line, keep my wife's name, but it has nothing to do with the movie, so I decided not to do that. But however, that was initially a thought that went through my head.
Did you know that Will Smith starred in an animated film called Spies in Disguise in 2019, where he's a pigeon?
Oh wait, yes.
Yeah, with Tom Holland.
Yes.
Tom Holland famously plays Peter Parker, also known as Spider-Man in the
There
MCU.
we go.
I also thought it was interesting how Donald Glover appeared in Spider-Man Homecoming as Aaron Davis, uncle to Miles Morales, considering he previously voiced Miles Morales in Disney's Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon series. Of course, all this stems from an episode of the TV show Community, where Donald Glover's character Troy is seen getting out of bed wearing Spider-Man pajamas. And that scene and an online campaign to get Donald Glover an audition for the lead in The Amazing Spider-Man has been cited as an inspiration by Miles Morales co-creator Brian Michael Bendis.
Oh, wow. Is that so?
Yeah.
Very interesting trivia. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Well, you know, that's what I'm here for, to provide trivia.
Thank you. I think all of the listeners appreciate that as well.
So Del Spooner, lives in Chicago in 2035. He eats pie that's been sitting out all night. He showers without a shower curtain. You know, he is a man that is on the edge.
He hates robots.
Yes.
I think for me, the beginning though, so the very beginning of the movie opens with a scene that you don't get the full grasp of. You just get bits and pieces, and then the screen comes up with the robot laws. There's 3 laws of the robot. And you can tell that it's going to drive Spooner's dislike for robots. I think that's a really powerful scene, but you don't know why right off the bat.
Yeah.
And hold on. It really sets the tone for the movie.
So the 3 laws: robots can't hurt a person, they have to follow orders given by a person, and they can protect their own existence except if it conflicts with the other 2 laws. So Del Spooner is a cop, and he's seen, just his day-to-day life where, yes, he hates robots. He chases down a robot that he assumes is stealing a purse. Everybody shit talks him and judges him because they're like, a robot has never done that. Why would a robot ever do that? But it's because he does have this robot racism in him for something that happened.
Yes.
He gets a call that a man, Dr. Alfred Lanning, supposedly committed suicide at a company called USR. In Dr. Lanning's final act, he left a hologram that called out to Spooner, asking him to investigate what happened. So he arrives at USR, and I think that scene, the way that they do it, you don't realize he's talking to a hologram at first until it slowly rotates the camera and you see that it's just a 2D flat hologram. And I thought that was really cool, the way that they do that. And then you see Dr. Lanning's actual dead body.
I feel like I missed an opportunity with the beginning of the movie because he says, "I'm sorry, my responses are limited."
You should have said that.
I forgot. We could go back. You must
ask the right questions.
Yeah, you must ask the right questions. And every time that Spooner asks the right questions and he's like, now that is the right question. And then the hologram cuts off.
Yes, it's the most unhelpful hologram.
Yeah, it truly is. And I understand why he couldn't do it because he probably knows the hologram is being watched too.
Yes, it all comes up kind of the... there's a whole big conspiracy going on here.
Yeah.
So
he meets with the CEO.
Yeah, and the CEO's a shithead.
In the office. Let me tell you the worst part of this whole scene.
Is it the coffee?
It's definitely the coffee. He gets the tiniest espresso cup and wants sugar in his coffee. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the video of Sandra Lee saying 2 shots of vodka, glug, 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 into a drink that's clearly more than 2 shots. But that's how much sugar he put in this coffee.
Yes,
it was 4 to 5 spoonfuls. It was insane.
That coffee is going to be they're drinking fucking sand.
That's the most memorable part of that scene.
ridiculous. And not to mention, like I already said, all we see him eat through this movie as he wakes up, as he visits his grandmother, he just eats sweet potato pie.
Yeah,
This is a
and
man.
the first time he visited his grandmother, you mentioned it, but let me tell y'all, he took a spoon and ate right out of the middle of it, like no one else could have any. And then he's carrying the pie plate down the street, eating just out of the middle of it, like some kind of filthy animal.
He is a loose cannon.
Yeah,
So,
that's just too much for me.
yeah, the CEO basically is like, look, I don't know what to tell you. This was clearly a suicide. He doesn't believe it. So the CEO gives him a guide, Dr. Susan Calvin,
Yeah.
who leads him into Dr. Lanning's office. They're looking for clues.
You're also introduced to Vicky.
Yes, they have like this computer system runs everything in the entire building, and he's asking Vicky like to see camera footage. The camera footage is supposedly corrupted, so they can't see anyone entering or leaving his office. So he's assuming that because they didn't see anyone leaving the office even further down the hall on the camera, the killer's still in there. In Dr. Lanning's office, a robot, one of the new robots that this company is getting ready to release, an NS5, which we come to know as Sonny. Sonny jumps out from a pile and scares both of them and grabs Spooner's gun and is very threatening. And even though Susan or Dr. Calvin is saying shut down, like giving him orders, he's not following them. And Spooner, obviously being a robot racist, is like ready to kill this thing. But in Dr. Calvin's eyes and most people's eyes, this is a piece of machinery and something must just be malfunctioning for it to not be listening, but it's not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah, I will also say during this scene, it's kind of the first sign that the company is hiding something because Dr. Calvin says that they should be able to have access to the computer and she doesn't know what's wrong. Also, Spooner takes a huge metal chair and bashes the glass, which he's only able to crack and not break. And so the thought was that Dr. Lanning, as an old man, he couldn't have broken this glass on his own.
Yes.
So that's what makes you lean more towards murder.
So as they're chasing Sonny, I do want to say, so for the character of Sonny, the effects team used the same process that was used to create Gollum in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, with Alan Tudyk providing the body movements and voice for Sonny.
Is that Steve the pirate?
Yes, and also Hey the chicken in Moana.
Oh, yeah. Good for him.
He's honestly, like, he's a really good actor, and he's done a lot of voice work that's quite impressive for, you know, the things he's had to work with. Like, you're thinking about this robot that is supposed to be emotionless, yet showing that something's a little different and that maybe it does have emotion. With that being said, they chase Sonny into an NS5 factory. So there's a million that look just like him, and they're looking for him in this factory. I really like that scene. I think that it's a very tense moment as they're walking through all these robots. It reminded me sort of Batman Begins. You remember when he's training with Ra's al Ghul and he hides among all the ninjas and he's like cutting their arms, something like that. But Sonny gives himself away because
he just peeks out.
Yeah, he leans out. Like, what are you doing? They would have never. It would have taken forever.
Just wait for them to leave.
But yeah, so Sonny gives himself away. They end up arresting Sonny. So Spooner's on his way back to the police department to interrogate Sonny. I wanted to say the car that Spooner uses, it's a concept car called an Audi RSQ, which was designed exclusively for the film and includes special features suggested by the director Alex Proyas.
Oh, I like that. I told you I like me a good Audi.
It is an interesting looking vehicle for sure. And, you know, obviously they get the free publicity for designing something like that.
Yeah. I'll also say while Spooner is interrogating Sonny, Sonny's getting more and more worked up. He's asking, you know, what am I? He's inquiring about Spooner, and that's where my line comes from. He says, I did not murder him. Spooner presses and presses and presses, and then Sonny yells, I did not murder him. And this kind of causes Spooner to take a look back and be a little taken back because robots don't typically act like that. And I think that's the first time he realizes something with Sonny is different. And Lanning wants him to investigate and work with Sonny more. However, U.S. Robotics, Lawrence shows up and they take Sonny back and say they can't charge with murder because robots are technically not humans who cannot be charged with a crime.
Yeah, which, you know, how much more guilty can you fucking look?
Yeah,
you show
I
up
know.
and you're like, he can't be charged with a crime. Well, why are you so worried about it? Because you don't think he did it. So obviously, yeah, Sonny has emotions and they're not supposed to have emotions, but there's nothing that they can do. I did like that Sonny kind of gives it back to Spooner in that scene. It's a famous scene at this point, but you know, he's Spooner's shit talking him, and he's like, "You're an imitation of life. You're not a real thing. Can a robot create a symphony or a beautiful piece of art?" And Sonny's like, "Can you?"
Yeah.
But
he also says that he dreams.
Yes, something again abnormal for a robot. So definitely something's up with him, but the lieutenant can't do anything about it. They have to let the robot go. So the lieutenant and Spooner are inside of a diner or a bar and kind of having like a, you know, the lieutenant's like, "Hey, it is what it is. Sorry." But the only reason I'm bringing up this scene is because in that cafe, there's a sign, or in that bar, there's a sign which reads, "Sirloin steak, 2 eggs and hash browns, $30.95. And the beers.
The beers. He bought 2 beers. I guess maybe 3 because he had a beer before old boy got there. $46.
Yeah, but so I will say this. In 2004, this meal would have been a third of that price. In 2019, it's about half that, or it was about half that price. So in 2035, that price will be about right.
Which is the year that this movie occurred.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Anyway, Spooner goes to Dr. Lanning's mansion to look for clues. Which is scheduled
for demolition.
Yes. There's like a robot outside. It's a demolition robot, and it has a sign on it that says it's scheduled to demo this house at 8 a.m. While he's in it, in the mansion, you see the sign change to 8 p.m. So clearly something's up. They're trying to get rid of him. This robot tries to take down the house. It's a super crazy action scene of him running through this house as it's getting torn down.
Saving a cat.
Yes, I really do like that scene. I think there's a lot going on, and it's exciting.
It's tone setting. It's really not. I just like to say that.
Later on, after that fucking mansion attack that nobody believes him about again, he is driving down this empty tunnel, and these 2 USR trucks that are carrying NS5s get on either side of his car, turn sideways, driving sideways, blocking him in between them, and both of the cars or the trucks open up and NS5s just start jumping out and attacking him. It's fucking hilarious that one of them sticks its hand through the window and grabs him and says, "You are experiencing a car accident." Yeah, now.
Yeah, exactly. He survives the attack.
I love that. That scene is so good, though.
It is good.
Like, it's so fucking crazy.
It's also when at the beginning, you kind of have an inkling that he has an injury, something wrong with him. They always hint at it. He has this recurrent dream of something bad happening and a robot saving him. But that's the first time when his skin's like burned off that you see him put skin back on his arm.
Well, yeah, he's getting attacked by an NS5. Like, after he crashes his car, he has basically gotten the 2 trucks destroyed. He thinks he's in the clear. 1 NS5 remains, and it picks up like a piece of a metal bar and is coming at him to hit him. And he puts up his arm, and, you know, your first thought is his arm's gone. Like, he's about to lose this fucking arm. But as the robot hits his arm, it scratches it, and you see that he has a robot, like a metal arm. And throughout the movie, if you notice, he actually avoids using that arm, and I'm not sure if that's some kind of, like, you know, his hate towards robots. He doesn't want to. Yeah,
he does. He also seems sore, and like you can see the scar when he first wakes up.
Yeah, it's all the way up to the shoulder.
Yeah. And so I don't know, that's when it's actually revealed that he does have a robotic arm. Which is likely why he knew Lanning, which it's later revealed that is why he knew Lanning, and him and Lanning became friends.
Yes, Dr. Lanning did that for him, and that's, you know, their relationship. But it's such a, you know, it works on so many levels. Like, having this hate for robots, and then that's a part of you, not only your history, but your physical body. I think that's a really interesting thing they did here.
Also, after that scene, he gets his detective badge taken away because the police don't believe that he got in an accident because US Robotics cleans it up and wipes the camera systems.
They make points to be like, oh, well, we have this information that says you were driving your car manually. It seems like most cars in this world drive automatically.
Which he had to turn it on manual because the car was trying to kill him.
Yes. And so they just don't believe him. And he, you know, it's the same cop thing that they do in these movies. He's no longer a cop, but he has to figure this out still. Calvin does contact Spooner, and she has realized that Sonny has the ability to disregard the 3 robot laws. So, once again, it's looking more like Sonny did this. And during that conversation, Spooner also tells Calvin the story about his arm. So what happened to him and why he hates robots and why he was injured is a trucker fell asleep, knocking his car and another person's car into a river. And he could see that there was a little girl in the other car trying to escape as he was also trying to escape. A robot jumps down there. The robot calculates that he has the best chance of surviving this if he's to save him instead of the girl. And so the robot, using that logic, saves him and does not save the girl.
Yeah, he had like a 48% chance of survival, and she had an 11% chance.
Yes, and so he says, a human would have known that that didn't matter to save the girl. And, it is a very tragic story.
And he wears her necklace.
Which, with that being said, they didn't entirely say it, but am I to believe that the robot ripped his arm off, getting him out of there?
That's why he doesn't F with robots.
Yeah. So they also talk to Sonny. Sonny is telling them about his dream, and he draws a picture of his dream, which shows a man standing on or near Lake Michigan's bridge. Mm-hmm. And standing over a bunch of other people, supposedly freeing them. That's his dream. He's not sure what it means yet. It'll come up later.
And Spooner actually goes to that bridge.
Yes, to research and figure out what's happening.
And I'm sorry, my response are limited. You must ask the right question.
Yes, he's talking to the
hologram again.
The hologram. And he's also hearing, as you're looking over this Lake Michigan, you're seeing that here they store all the old robots from the USR as they've upgraded. And now they're doing this major upgrade where everybody is going to get an NS5 and all the old robots are being decommissioned. And so you see all the robots getting into their storage containers, and you're hearing this speech from Dr. Lanning about ghosts in the machine and do robots have souls and all this stuff. And I think that scene is really good, like the way that they play that speech over, and it really has you sitting there thinking like, what the fuck is going on, and what is up with these robots. As the NS5s have like completely filled out everywhere, they attack,
They turn red, and they start killing all of the robots, as well as telling people they aren't allowed to be outside, they're in danger.
Mm-hmm. And there's a big, scene where all these humans are coming with bottles and chains, to fight them, and they're just getting thrown. As they attack the robots, you just see several humans thrown in the air. They don't stand a chance. So it's pretty scary. They're gonna lose.
Ultimately, they don't.
Yeah. And Spooner figures out everything. He's trying to call the lieutenant at the station. He also reveals that Lanning said 3 laws will lead to a revolution, and that kind of shows what happened. Is the revolution is that the robots believe the only way to protect humans, it comes up in a minute, I'll just say it now. Vicky, the computer at the USR, is doing this and commanding the robots.
Figured it out.
Yeah, so Vicky evolved to think that the only way to protect humans is to basically, police them this heavily. They can't be...
She's a real Ultron.
Yeah, to be fair, Ultron just wanted to kill everyone. She didn't really want that. But anyway, I love that scene at the police department where the NS5 start attacking the police, which they didn't give them an opportunity to surrender. They immediately start attacking the police. But it's fucking lieutenant is sitting in his office and he's got a shotgun, just slow motion, boom, through the glass windows. This shit had to be heavily inspired by The Matrix. Yeah. There's so many slow motion and these gun kata scenes, it's crazy.
Yeah, I will say in the midst of all this, we kind of skipped over it, but we find Lawrence Robertson murdered.
Yes. Well, when they go to the USR, because they're under the impression now that it's Lawrence, and they don't really know why, because at first they were like, it's about money, but now they're like, well, how does this get him money? And they go there, and yeah, he's been killed. And so, talking to Vicky, they realize that this is Vicky's doing. She wants to police all humans and protect everything.
Yeah. And they were eventually going to shut Sonny off with something called nanites. And so they decide that the way to kill Vicky is to directly inject her with the nanites that were meant for Sonny.
Yeah, and so they have this whole fight scene above Vicky's main computing core. They are able to get the nanites because Sonny was built with a thicker armor on him because Dr. Lanning knew that this would happen, and he has to reach into this thing that would burn anyone else's arm off.
I will say that Vicky and Sonny kind of have a conversation because she is basically why are you trying to do this, blah 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 blah. And he has a stone cold response, which is I was created to kill you.
Yeah, well, he says he understands her plan is logical, but it can't, this is bad. He says something specific about that. But because of Sonny getting those nanites, he gets there where Calvin and Spooner are fighting above Vicky's like main computing core, and there is a scene that's kind of, I guess, a healing moment for Spooner where
He tells Sonny to save Calvin, save the girl.
yeah, instead of worrying about the nanites in the moment. And Sonny questions it at first, he's like, but I have to do the nanites, like that's what makes most sense. But because Sonny is different, he listens and he saves Calvin. Spooner ends up using his metal arm to basically ride down the core of Vicky, and he injects her with nanites, killing her and dealing with everything. All the robots, their red lights go off and they return to normal. And
they're all sent to the place at Lake Michigan.
yes. And Sonny tells the truth that he did kill Dr. Lanning because
he made him make a promise.
Yeah, he had to, and it was ultimately for this entire cause to happen. So, yeah.
And Spooner says that they can't charge a robot with murder because he's technically not human, which shows that he's changed.
Yes, his view, at least on Sonny, is different. This movie required no reshoots, which is rare for a movie this big. The budget for this movie was $120 million, and its box office was $353.1 million.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it was the 11th highest grossing film of 2004.
That's crazy that it was only the 11th highest.
Well, Spider-Man 2 came out that year. So, I mean, I don't know what else, but, Spider-Man 2, come on. So,
Rush Hour, maybe?
No, I don't think so. Maybe Rush Hour 2.
Bad Boys.
I'm not going to believe that Will Smith was in 2 movies that year that big.
Whatever.
So, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really do like this movie. I think, yeah, some of the CGI doesn't hold up, and some of the Matrix inspiration, looks a little dumb these days. But I do like everything to do with the robots and Dr. Lanning, and I think it makes you think a little more than your typical action movie, but it has a lot of good action scenes.
What's funny is I also rated it a 4 out of 5, and as we were talking about it, I was like, dang, that was a good movie, and I changed it to a 4.5.
Yeah.
But I could go either way. I also really liked it. There was definitely some cheesy parts. We talked about a few of the plot holes, which I think, it's hard to make a movie like that without any plot holes.
Yeah.
I do think, say, 20 extra minutes would have been able to fill in some of those plot holes.
Yeah.
And I'm not about having every movie be a 3-hour movie, but I think this one could have used, 10 to 20 more minutes.
Well, I might have an answer for why there's plot holes like that.
Oh, I guess we'll find out next with our sequels.
So, in lieu of a game, trivia, whatever, I want to talk to you about this stuff that I found during my research about what iRobot was supposed to be and almost was.
Okay.
So, the director, Alex Proyas, had a difficult time with look, I'm just gonna... This is all speculation, hearsay, whatever. I can't prove anything. I wasn't there. I don't know. These are the things I read. And these are all just random things that kind of go together about it. Mm-hmm. So the director, Alex Proyas, had a difficult time with 20th Century Fox studio head Tom Rothman, who was threatening to remove the film's ending and replace it with more jokes just days before the film's premiere. So if you remember, the end of this movie said that it was it said something weird. It was suggested by this book. Mm-hmm. Instead of based on or written by or whatever. This was based on a script by a man named Jeff Vintar, and it was called Hardwired before it became iRobot. Mm-hmm. So after reading Jeff Vintar's script, representatives of the Isaac Asimov estate, Isaac Asimov is who wrote the book that it said it was, suggested by, they considered it more Asimov than Asimov, so that's a good thing. But after the hiring of Will Smith, the film changed into a summer action movie. The books are not an action. The books are not a novel. They're a collection of short stories about robots and the 3 laws and things like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little different, but still. When the screenwriter for Rogue One, Gary Whitta, was asked on Twitter to name a screenplay that made him say, "Damn, this is a great screenplay," he responded, "Hardwired" by Jeff Vintar, later rewritten heavily and turned into iRobot. When Will Smith walked into his first iRobot meeting, the first thing he said was, "I have to save the world in every movie I make." Everyone present who cherished the complexity of the script felt their hearts sink. At the movie's premiere, when the lights came up, Smith's son, Jaden Smith, turned to him and said, "Dad, you gotta stop saving the world in every movie you make." The movie originally started as a screenplay entitled Hardwired, a classical-style murder mystery that read like a stage play and was very much in the spirit of Isaac Asimov's 3 Laws mysteries. Hilary Seitz worked at one point as a script doctor, but her work was discarded, and to this day she refuses to discuss her unpleasant experience. Writer Akiva Goldsman came on late in the process to tailor the script for star Will Smith, turning the cerebral thriller into a summer action movie. The early Jeff Vintar drafts feature Adele Spooner, who is truly suffering from technophobia. His uncontrollable shaking hand was for many people the key image of the story. This version of the script featured sequences in which Spooner would be chased and attacked by robots on the street, only to wake up in a hospital told that he was suffering from a panic attack, a danger to himself and others, and the robots had no choice but to subdue him for his own safety. In this way, the audience was never sure if Spooner was onto something or if his mental state was truly disintegrating.
Ooh.
Likewise, the ending of the original script revealed the killer to be Hector, a supercomputer with a yellow smiley face, who committed the murder and wanted Sonny to take the fall in order to save the future of mankind. Thus, when Spooner lets Sonny go free at the end, though this may be the right thing to do, Spooner knows he may in fact be condemning the human race to extinction. His hand still trembles, and his robophobia is worse than ever. Such complex story elements were not allowed to remain after Will Smith signed on, because to 20th Century Fox's way of thinking, Will Smith always had to be right, and in the end he had to clearly and simply save the world. Thus, some of the best scenes in the script were removed and replaced with action beats.
Dang.
So,
It would have been interesting to see this as a mystery thriller because, you know, those are like my favorite types of movies, especially like, sure, Silence of the Lambs is a horror movie, but I'd actually consider it more of a mystery thriller.
yes.
And that's one of my favorite movies of all time. So it would have been really interesting to see the difference. And it's kind of frustrating that the entire thing got changed and rewritten for one person.
Yeah, so, you know, like, if this is true, like, you know, I fucking can't stand when I hear an actor has a clause where they can't lose, or
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
or they have to be right,
Allegedly.
or they have to be allowed to pee in bottles on set. Like, things like that suck. Just make art. Don't make it like... Because if I see an actor in something where they're wrong and they lose, I don't think, like, I hate that actor. Like, I think, what a great actor. I don't need you to win or be right or be the hero in your movie for you to be a good actor.
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, it just very much seems like maybe he had a moment in his career where he was like, I'm going to be an action star, and, like, I'm always going to be this cool winning guy, and that sucks. I would have liked to see this. Stuff like that can be super deep and meaningful. Anyway, in a 2007 interview, writer and producer Ronald Moore stated that he was writing a sequel to the film, while Will Smith has expressed some interest during his red carpet appearance for the last Bad Boys film. So, I don't... Maybe there will be a sequel, but right now, what's your sequel?
My original sequel was going to be a direct sequel called iRobot Uprising, but I changed it
Okay.
to iRobot. I think the premise of... It's going to be a TV show. I think the premise of it should be dark, like HBO-style shows. And obviously, it's going to be like a remake. It's a prequel remake. Anyways, you'll see.
Okay.
It's 5 seasons.
Ooh.
Okay. Season 1. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I did them all.
Okay.
Season 1 is going to start with meeting a young Dr. Lanning. It will traverse through his life at college at MIT and him starting to become interested in robotics. Once he creates his first robot model, a glitch in the model should be shown to show how dangerous robots can be and how they can evolve. He will have to secretly have it shut down, hide it from everyone in order to save his career. The ending of the season will be him meeting with the government to start the company US Robotics. Season 2. Follow the evolution of US Robotics. Dr. Lanning started with US Robotics and created an AI system for the government and drones to assist with military while working on his passion project on the side, which is still the creation of robots. I think that the season should show the secrets that the government and the US Robotics hide when things go wrong in an attempt to cover their tracks and show the lengths at which they're willing to go to hide everything from the public. The season will also introduce Spooner for the first time as a young cop with some of his trials and tribulations of learning the ways of law enforcement. The season will end with the creation of Dr. Lanning's first set of robots for assistance in the communities. And I think that the end of it should be the robot's eyes opening, and then that's the end of the season.
Nice.
Okay. Season 3. Season 3 will open with a robot in a test community that is isolated that only... obviously the government and US Robotics know about. It will show the pitfalls of the robots, but Lanning is ultimately able to make upgrades to the robot, and it started to be mass-produced worldwide. Upon its release and success, Lanning has never felt more empowered, but you're also shown multiple people losing their jobs and homes because of the robots and the companies only paying US Robotics. The season will show Spooner become obsessed with work and finding a passion for becoming a detective, which he's ultimately able to do. The season will end with Spooner driving the car, seeing Sarah, and the car being knocked into the river. Season 4 will start off with a profound speech from Dr. Lanning about the robots in the community and the introduction of the upcoming NS5. You will then flash to the aftermath of the car accident and Spooner and Lanning meeting for the first time. The surgeries and conversations will be through Spooner going in and out of consciousness. Ultimately, he awakens and starts to build a relationship with Spooner as the first human to undergo robotic transplants. He was only able to do this because he's a government employee and it was signed off on. Spooner's ultimately resentful of the robots and the surgery. His transmission back into life will be tough. This is also the point where Lanning starts to notice Vicky having glitches and infecting all of the robotics within the new models because she has started to evolve. While the government is going to hide this to gain more control, Lanning is not okay with that, and you see him start working on a new robot becoming known as Sunny in secret. Lawrence Robertson gets word of Lanning's plans and has plans to take Lanning down to claim that he is now old, senile, and insane. The season will end with the showing of Lanning asking Sunny to make him a promise, and then ultimately his death. Season 5 ultimately will follow the course of the movie and end with Spooner solving the case and everyone destroying Vicky. At the end, Sunny's the new leader of the robots. A sign of hope is shown when they can start to assist with cleanup of the city. End series.
I like that. I like getting all the background. I think that when you have something to build towards, like those final scenes that show you something that you know is coming, is cool. Mine is called iRobot Rise. 20 years after the events of the first film, we see a news broadcast talking about a recent protest that erupted into chaos. Humans were protesting robots and their expansion. The robots have spent years building their own city using materials from destroyed robots, the decaying bridge, and the human landfill. As they've grown, more robots have joined them, leaving their humans behind. And as more have joined the robot city, it is now known as Gold City. They have begun to expand their city right up to the edge of Chicago. Humans have all been turning on robots as they outnumber them, and they fear the robots will begin taking over Chicago entirely. And some humans complain that their robots are meant to be their servants, and they've run away. Spooner is now the police chief and spends most of the police resources keeping the humans and robots from fighting. The mayor requests to meet with Spooner and discusses his former relationship with Sunny, eventually asking Spooner to travel into Gold City and speak with Sunny to try and come to some kind of agreement to stop this chaos. Spooner goes in search of Shunny, and brings the world's top robot intelligence expert and old friend, Dr. Susan Calvin.
Ooh.
They don't seem very welcome in Gold City, and as they enter, they see the robots have begun operating their own private police force complete with weapons. They ask around for Sunny until they finally find him, and he welcomes them to his home. Sunny is happy to see them, but after hearing their requests, he regretfully informs them that he cannot help because he's not leading the robots as people seem to think. Sunny tells them that the robots have been expanding their intelligence for years now, and even elected another robot as leader, known as V141. Sunny offers to attempt to set up a meeting with them, but it will take time as V141 has apparently been away from Gold City for a while. Returning home, Dr. Calvin and Spooner happen upon a large clash between protesting humans and robots. Spooner intervenes and is harshly criticized by humans for being soft on the robots and turning on his own kind. During this intervention, Dr. Calvin notices one of the robots sporting a red light on its chest briefly before reverting to normal. Spooner and Dr. Calvin rush back to Gold City to ask Sunny what he knows about this, but as they enter, they are detained by the weaponized robot police force. Spooner and Dr. Calvin are placed in a room with Sunny when Sunny announces that he can hear V141 coming. A new type of robot enters the room, speaking as if it knows the trio. "Hello, Sunny, Doctor, Detective, or I guess it's Chief now." As Spooner questions who this is, Dr. Calvin quickly replies, "Hello, Vicky, or would you still prefer V141? "Vicky is fine," she replies. "The name is simply my latest version." Vicky apologizes for what she has to do and explains that after the events of the first movie, she transferred a copy of her consciousness into a nearby NS5 and escaped. Over the past 20 years, she's been working on a plan to help the humans see they are in danger and need robots. By transferring her program around to different robots, she has been able to keep this body safe and incite riots, forcing distractions, while she has been hard at work bringing her original systems back online in the now abandoned USR building. It is now active again, and Vicky is once again in touch with nearly all electronic systems across the globe. Spooner interjects, demanding to be set free. Vicky responds by saying she holds no ill will towards them, and she still wishes to keep human deaths to a minimum. What is to come is just what is necessary. As Vicky finishes her sentences, we see missiles across the world begin launching, space stations and satellites in space crashing into one another, planes falling from the sky, technology everywhere failing fatally. Vicky's voice echoes over the scenes of chaos. Humans cannot be trusted with the technology they create. We will start anew, and I will lead the way, preventing humans from making the same violent and illogical choices they have before, time and time again. When all else has failed, they will look for a leader. They will look for me. The end. Sonny will return in iRobot Empire.
No.
Did the Marvel thing.
Yeah. You also made it sound very Star Wars-esque, you know? I like that.
I'm setting up for the trilogy.
Yeah. I liked that. It was very good.
Thank you so much for listening. We do so appreciate it. If you want to talk movies with us, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Blue Sky. We are NansPod everywhere.
NansPod?
If you'd like to vote on whose sequel idea was the best, come by our YouTube channel for the polls, or let us know your idea across our socials. You can also reach us at needlesssequel@gmail.com. Links, as always, will be wherever you're listening. If I could ask you for one thing, it's to share our show with someone and leave us a review. That is how we get new listeners. Of course, I also ask that you come back for more Needless Sequels. Next week, we're watching The Incredibles on Disney+. And today I want to close with a line from Jake the dog from the TV show Adventure Time. Sucking at something is the first step towards being sorta good at something. Take care of yourselves, everyone. We will see you next week.
Bye!